Alright, I'm back with something to talk about, and it's more so a rant, to be honest. It's a personal problem. Obviously, I've transitioned pretty much completely from making gaming content now, with everything revolving around either A, cars, or B, the gym. And that's just because that's my life. That's what I enjoy. I still play video games here and there, but it's not my life like it was. And that's just the simple fact of the matter. But with that being said, that also means that I consume a ton of that content. I don't just make it. And since I consume a ton of it, I mean, there's only one word to describe it. And I've heard this word before. I'm not being original with this at all, but physique inflation. I would consider myself pretty in shape. I've said it many times, I'll say it again. I eat an extremely strict diet and I work out every single day basically. And I've built my way up to that point. It wasn't always like that. Well, I mean it was, but the workouts just weren't as effective when I was working out every single day in high school. And with that being said, for the most part, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but there's very few times, I mean this is kind of dark, but there's very few times where I'm fully satisfied with my physique, and that could definitely be a problem. Probably a case of body dysmorphia, but pretty much like everybody deals with that works out, I feel like. So I'm not alone on that. And some people might call that a negative thing, but to be quite honest, that's like the driving force behind why I work out every single day, and I continue trying to make myself better and better and better because I just keep moving the goalpost on myself. And I'm by no means saying I could join a bodybuilding competition right now. I've definitely been heavily considering it more and more and more as I've talked to people, not because I think I'll win, but because I want to see what kind of hell I can put myself through and make it out on the other end. But again, if I'm being honest, that sounds mortifying. Not the working out part, the eating part. As far as I know, you have to basically starve yourself for like 2 months leading up to getting on stage, which that's a lot of time for me to basically starve myself. Not sure how I'd mentally feel. I'd physically feel way worse. And I'm also not coming on here advocating for people to be fat. I'm saying sit somewhere in the middle. You need body fat in order to feel good, regulates your hormones, but if you have too much, it fucks you up. Simple as that. But with that being said, I am constantly scrolling on my phone because I have an addiction to it. Everybody does at this point. Not really much we can do about that. If I'm like super busy throughout the day and I like don't have a chance to get on it, that's preferred to be that way, and that is the case sometimes. But if I have free time, I'm gonna go on my phone, and I'm trying to get better about it. But the first point I was trying to make is that I don't always feel great about my physique. I just don't. Now when I go to the gym and I have a pump and then I see myself in the lighting, then yeah, I feel great. Well, I don't feel great. I definitely feel much better. But the last video that I posted, I had like a couple minutes of me flexing at the end of the workout, and that was the first time I felt joy looking at my physique since 2025. And it was early 2025. Haven't felt joy like that looking at myself in the mirror since I cut and saw like the end result for the first time after years of being basically 200 pounds at 5'7", which that's pretty, I'm not a big guy. Like I'm not. So that felt great. That type of feeling comes around once in a blue moon. And to make matters worse, I've been trying to get better at that. I've been trying to, you know, understand the saying, comparison is the thief of joy, and that doesn't sink into my brain. I'm pretty horrible at taking my own advice in that sense. Little side note, by the way, my brain is gonna be all over the place in this. I didn't have to take pre-workout today because all I had was cardio and abs at the gym, so I have no caffeine, and I wanna go get a Ghost, but I also don't feel like going to get it, so. It's not that I'm tired, it's just I focus better and I can keep my thoughts a little bit more like on pace with where they should be if I have caffeine. But at the end of my workouts, I look in the mirror and see, you know, how am I looking at the end? What do I need to work on? And then I feel a little bit better. But then I get home and then I scroll and see somebody that is not like a big name. They're not like a bodybuilder or anything like that. But then they post their physique and I'm like, and then everybody else is posting it in the comments section, and I'm like, men and women, and like I'm just getting completely fucked, and it's devastating to see that. And to be honest, I hate that because now I feel like I've lost my ways. I've completely lost sight of the root of why I started working out in the first place, which it actually did start out as just a mental thing. I felt way better when I would work out. That's why I worked out in high school. And then I stopped for a little bit because I got into a relationship, so I was hanging out with her instead. And then when we broke up, I didn't get into the gym on some like cringy, oh, I'm gonna like glow up or whatever and then she's gonna come back. No, I legitimately was just like, dude, I have this time now. I gotta fill it with something productive. I have always been like that. It's a driving force behind why I make content. Definitely not all of it, but it's part of the reason that I do. I genuinely love doing it. It takes time, and what else am I gonna do with that time? The time's gonna pass anyway, so I might as well do something that I love. It was the same way with the gym. I really enjoyed it. I started noticing some changes when I was, you know, hitting puberty, and I was like, wow, I see some definition in myself. This is really cool. I want to continue chasing this feeling. So then I've just built on that over time, figured out what worked, what didn't work, how far I can push like the boundary of cheating in a sense as far as my diet goes and not have it make a difference and, you know, maximize gains essentially. I can draw this out. This will be so much easier. I'm so happy that I got this journal 4 years ago or whenever that I did. I can't believe, I'm saying this unironically, I actually use this thing to like write ideas down for videos on all platforms. It's actually where the last vlog came from. Sometimes I just need to write stuff down. If I put it in my notes, I'm gonna get distracted if I'm on my phone. Let's go ahead and flip to a random page, shall we? Yeah, that's a good idea. And I'm gonna draw a graph. Okay, how do I label this right? Oh, fuck, I should have paid more attention in school. Okay, all right, I think this makes sense. I think this should definitely make sense. And then, I don't know how to quantify this part, but we'll just go ahead and do this. Oh, yeah, no, this is making more sense now. I think I might have cooked with this graph. It's not scaled properly, but that's okay. Yeah, no, this is fucking good. This is actually insane. Dude, this is actually pretty horrendous. I'm gonna have to explain this. This is not where I expected this video to go. Okay, yeah, no, and then we'll put some lines on it so that it actually makes a little bit more sense. No, actually, this is pretty good. All right, I just had to change out my battery, which I knew I was gonna have to do before I started recording this, and I still chose to ignore it. But the graph is done. Now, to explain the graph, okay, we've got positive gains percent-wise, right? Okay, and then down here, we got length of time that you've been working out in years. So you can see it goes from 1 up to 12, I think. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. And then 1,000%. I don't really know how else to quantify that. But the point being is that when you first start working out, it's kind of like a big spike, right? You notice so many gains at the beginning of it. Your physique is changing so much, and as you do it longer, it kind of starts to level out a good bit. Shut up! I don't know why I keep the ringer on my phone turned on. Snapchat has 97,000 different notifications for you as well that you can't you can't just get the notifications that you want. But anyway, so as you can see, it kind of levels out over time, and that's supposed to happen. That's legitimately, like, there's a scientific reason behind that. I've dived into it. Regardless, there is a reason behind it. And I can comfortably say, at a point where I am sort of reaching my natural ceiling, I feel like. As far as I have pretty much maximized everything to make myself look better, as far as the gym goes. So now, I don't really know where else to turn. And I understand that I probably look better than the average person, I would hope, for working out 7 times a week. But that's not enough. Now I'm comparing myself to, you know, professional bodybuilders that are on copious amounts of gear. And that's just the way that works. Not to mention the people that I'm comparing myself to are even older than me. And I'm 24, but comparing myself to 30-year-olds that have 5 extra years on me. That doesn't matter. The point being, I'm 24. And hormonally, you're generally done developing at 25, maybe 26. And if you're in the gym, you know where I'm headed with this. There's one thing I have not done. I've been accused of it, but I have not done it. And that's gonna be steroids. Now, a lot of people are gonna look at that for face value and say that that's a bad idea. I'm here to tell you that I took an ethics class in college, and that type of question can't have a right or wrong answer. You just need to make sure that you're backing up your stance. So everything that I've taken up to this point is all things that you can walk into a grocery store or a vitamin shop and buy. No prescription needed. You don't need anything special. But I already have this out, so I think it's appropriate for me to make a pros and cons list of steroids. Now, my handwriting is pretty trash. It's kind of taken a dive since I stopped going to school, to be honest. Okay. You know, steroids seems like it seems like a negative connotation. How about we just we call this the juice. Man, this handwriting is atrocious. I'm really locked in. trying to do this. And we'll underline it to make it official. I don't think the pros and cons list is gonna be that long, but better safe than sorry. Pros, cons. Oh fuck, I didn't capitalize the end. It's not a fit, whatever. Get the point. There we go. There's our list. Well, there's the beginning of our list. I haven't actually written the list. Man, I sound like an idiot in this. Okay, so first one I should probably hit is cons. Because you want to take care of the stuff that you don't enjoy first, so that when you get to the stuff that you like, it's kind of like a reward. So, should I do bullet points or numbers? I think numbers is going to be better, because then we're going to be able to really see. So cons. All right, let me write this. Okay, alright, so I finished, and unfortunately I've just straight up convinced myself not to take steroids. We're gonna start off with the cons. Number one, might die. It's kind of a risky situation. It's not the worst thing you can do for yourself, but it's definitely, well, you can argue that it's healthy if circumstances allow for it. If you have low testosterone and you take testosterone. That's about it. Number two, gyno. Now this one I'm gonna have to explain like every single point. This is gonna be like a 45-minute long video. But if you don't know what gyno is, basically as a guy, and well, women have the same effect, but they just develop more masculine features. Guys can develop more feminine features, because when you artificially inject yourself with testosterone, your body tries to offset it with more estrogen. So when your body's trying to do that, you have to make sure you're taking an estrogen blocker. So I mean, realistically, this one, you can, we're gonna put parentheses, potentially. If you do it right, then you won't develop gyno. And if you don't know what gyno is, let me go ahead and explain it. It's basically where you, as a guy, get boobs. And I'm not talking about like you just had an insane chest pump and your chest looks big and it looks good. I'm more so talking about like if I was to take my shirt off in a YouTube video, it might get age restricted because they would think I'm a woman. That's the best way that I could describe that. And there's not really any way to counter that except an estrogen blocker. And once you have it, you have it. You have to get surgery to remove it, or to make it be better again. So that would really suck. And depending on how bad it is, it can be pretty bad. Number three, kind of segues off of number two, health problems. That's self-explanatory. I'll go more in depth as we get down the list. Number four, I put quotes around this, potential mental issues. Now, as far as steroids go, a lot of people think that you take steroids and you automatically get what's called roid rage, which is not the case. They basically just enhance what you already felt. So if you were a really aggressive person before, then you're gonna enhance that, and then you're gonna be even more aggressive. So would that be roid rage? Yeah, but that doesn't happen to everybody. You can hop on steroids and literally get depressed, because if you were already a sad person before, it's just enhancing what was already there. That's a pretty broad statement. I would do your own research before taking my word for that. Number five, this one's actually pretty good. Lifting isn't as rewarding. They did a study before between two groups of people, and between those two groups of people, they had a group of people that were eating right, sleeping right, and training right in the gym, and then they had another group of people that did none of that, but they took steroids. And the group of people that took steroids had like 300% or something like that. Don't quote me on it. It was a substantial amount more muscle growth than the other group. So basically, you don't even have to really lift, depending on how responsive you are to them, and you're just gonna make the gains just because you're injecting yourself with something. That could be a positive or a negative. It kind of frees up your time a little bit. Number six, this depends on if you're taking orals or not. Can't drink alcohol. Now, when you take steroids, they're pretty harsh on your organs. That's just the way that works, especially if you're taking orals like Anavar or something like that. I really hope this video doesn't get blocked for me using these words, because I think YouTube like updated their thing to where you can't even say that. Maybe it'll get age restricted, whatever. But if you're taking something like Anavar or oral Tren, which I would never do that, then you absolutely can't drink, because alcohol goes through your liver. And if you're already, you know, destroying your liver with steroids, it's probably not a good idea to destroy it with alcohol as well. I mean, you can, it's your body, but I would just highly recommend not doing it. And that, for that reason, it falls into the cons category, because I kind of like drinking. Number seven, this is probably the biggest one of them all. Mom would be mad. Now, my mom disapproves of me going on steroids. She is not cool with the idea of that. I literally troll her on a pretty regular basis and tell her that I'm gonna go on, It generally makes her pretty mad, and then I get entertained by it. So am I a bad person for that? I don't know, that's up to you to decide that. But that being said, she's talking about health complications, and I am on the other hand talking about having like 25-inch biceps. So we're not even in the same ballpark with that argument. There's a lot of work to do there. It's basically like on Pawn Stars when somebody comes in and goes up to Rick Harrison, and Rick's trying to buy the thing for like $400, and the other person's trying to sell it for 45 grand. They're not even ever gonna get on the same page. So that's what I mean when I say not in the same ballpark. Number 8, this one's probably honestly the biggest one of them all. Blood clots. Steroids make your blood thicker. They generally increase your red blood cell count, which in turn can increase your chance of getting blood clots. And I've mentioned it before. I made a video about it like 2-3 years ago. I got a blood clot, and I have this Factor V linen. I have Factor V heterozygous linen. I don't know what the hell the medical term for it is anymore, but basically it's something I was born with, and it was passed down through DNA, and it just means I'm at a slight increased risk of blood clots. So it's probably not a good idea for me to increase that even more. And I'm pretty sure you can just like give blood to kind of offset that, or I could go back on blood thinners, but I don't really want to do that, not to mention the fact that the insurance company that I got the medicine through when I initially got the blood clot probably would not count me going on steroids as a valid reason to cover me getting a $1,600 bottle of pills. Eliquis. Number 9, I probably would not stop. What I mean by that is I would probably start out with testosterone, and by the end, before I am getting put 6 feet into the ground, I'd probably be on like every steroid in the book. I've got a pretty addictive personality. And I know you can't get physically, well, technically you can't get addicted to steroids, but I don't care what anybody says. If I looked in the mirror and I was seeing a ton of gains for barely any work, dude, I'm gonna keep doing it subconsciously, whatever. Number 9, wait, no, sorry, number 10, potential acne. I already get acne on my back. It's definitely settled down a lot. I used to have a lot more on my face. I had to go on Accutane twice, and that was, I mean, it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but it's also not the most enjoyable thing in the world. The second time around, I literally had to carry around nasal spray and eye drops with me because my nose and eyes were getting dry from it. It's not fun to go on that, and I would probably, there's a chance that I would have to go on it again if I went on steroids, because it does mess with your hormones. That's like why I got acne. I don't know, that's most of the reason why people get acne. It doesn't have to do with you like washing your face and stuff, which I do that. I take like 2 or 3 showers a day. Do not come for me and say that's unhealthy. I know that it's legitimately, just stop. But I tried like every topical in the book. Accutane was the only thing that worked. Number 11, now this one's a little bit interesting. Potential hair loss. Now I'm not 100% on it, but I'm pretty sure, based off the things that I've seen, steroids will not make you lose hair if you were not going to bald in those areas in the first place. So knock on wood, my hairline is still pretty good. I haven't really noticed much of a difference of it over time. Now I have a lot of gray hair, but easy solution if I need to, I'll just dye it back to dark brown. If my whole head becomes gray too early, is what it is. But if you were not going to bald, it normally does not mess with your hair, I think. And if that is the case, you can evidently take something to prevent that from happening, but the thing that you have to take to prevent that from happening is extremely unhealthy for you. And I'm not talking about like, I think it's minoxidil or something like that, but I don't know, it's an M word. It's another thing, I think it's an oral. And I only got to number 12, but I only have 8 pros, so I think, you know, 12 is enough. Ages you. And what I mean by that, to get into technical terms here, is kind of 2 different types of people. There is people that look more androgenic, and then there's people that look more anabolic. Now, anabolic is the look that I go for. That, in simple terms, is basically like a Chad. It's just some, you know, young guy that is pretty muscular. And that's the look that I will chase forever. Well, probably not. I think at a certain point that's gonna be just crazy to do that. I don't know if that explains it well enough, but I'm just gonna go with that. And then you have androgenic. Now, androgenic is kind of like a 50-year-old dad that's like jacked as fuck with a big ass, like, you know, full beard and like just looks super masculine, right? Now the reason for that is because your body as a guy responds to androgenic receptors over time. And the more time that your body has to respond to those receptors, that's the more you get aged and start to look more and more and more and more like a man. It's responsible for your facial hair growth, things like that. However, with that comes aging. And when you take steroids, you are accelerating the process of these androgenic receptors like going off in your body or whatever happens. So you age much quicker. Look at the fucking Trend Twins, bro. I'm not saying they're not jacked as shit. They are. But they definitely don't look their age. I'm pretty sure they're actually younger than me. Like, I'm 24. I think they're 22. They look like they're like 35, 40 now. So that's a big negative. For me, especially, because I go to great lengths to actually try and make myself look like, I guess not younger than I am, but I try and take care of myself to like not look older than I am. Now, we're on to the exciting stuff, the pros. Number one is a little bit broad, but potential 200 pounds lean. I am 5'7", I weigh about 165 pounds right now, and when I was around 200 pounds, I was fat as fuck. So, and for me to get to 200 pounds lean is virtually impossible with the way my body is. Like, it's just simply not gonna happen without steroids. I could probably get to like, realistically, probably like 185 lean. By lean, I mean like 4% body fat. So like super, super, super lean. Number two, huge shoulders and biceps. I mean, that's not the only thing that would be huge, but that's a big one. That'd be pretty sick. Huge as in, you know, maybe an extra 2-3 inches on my biceps for free, and my shoulders look a little bit more cut. But then they also put on more size because there's a ton of androgenic receptors in your shoulders. So honestly, and I've heard this before, you generally don't even have to hit shoulders when you're on steroids because the steroids are just gonna do the work for you. Kind of goes with the rest of your body too. Number three, plus 100 confidence. I just did 100 because it sounds cool. There is a mental side to taking steroids, and it's not like I'm not confident now. I am. I've always been pretty confident, to be honest with you, even when I was a total chud and was like 100 pounds and just got bullied. I still had confidence, believe it or not. I don't know how. I thank God for that. But just because I have it now doesn't mean that having more of it wouldn't be really cool. It's like having $1 million in the bank and somebody offers you an extra $100,000. Taking the $100,000 or not? Yeah, of course you are. Wouldn't make sense not to. Number four, lifting is more fun. Now, when I said lifting wasn't as rewarding, that doesn't necessarily tie into it not being fun, because your lifts are gonna probably, ideally, shoot through the roof just for the hell of it. And that sounds pretty fun. I would say that's pretty fun. Number five, pumps through the roof. People that are on steroids, dude, this is self-explanatory. Like, your pumps are gonna be through the roof. You're gonna look way better, way bigger at the end of a workout than you normally would. Just the way that is. Number six, this is pretty shallow. Probably more women. There's an epidemic going on right now, and a lot of guys are in agreement of it as well. A lot of women will say that they prefer like a dad bod or whatever, but then they don't fully understand what a dad bod is. I don't know if it was like engagement bait or something like that, but I did see a tweet like years ago of a girl posting a picture of sebum off season, and it said something along the lines of, "This is what we mean by we want a dad bod." So you're talking about the literal best bodybuilder in the world at just a regular body fat percentage, not getting ready to go on stage at like 2%. So that's why I am kind of like, I don't know if they like it's misconstrued. That's all I would say. So number six, probably more women, because your physique is gonna improve, and I'm not gonna beat around the bush. You get more attention from everybody in general when your physique looks better. That's just the way that works. That's biologically how humans work. So again, that one's pretty self-explanatory. Seven, this one kind of ties in with everything. Pretty broad statement, but cooler physique. Another self-explanatory. Number eight, there's times when you're really fucking busy and you have to really cram the gym in, and it can get a little bit annoying then, but you make it happen. Number eight, you don't have to lift. You can just not, and you're probably gonna have the same results. Now, is that cheating? I don't know. Yeah, but at the end of this, this is still sounding like I should just stay away, and I should probably just stick to continuing what I'm doing and making progress naturally and just accepting that steroids would be a bad idea. But I'll revisit this in a little bit. You know, we'll give it some time. I want to title this video The Pros and Cons of Steroids, but I don't know if it's gonna get flagged. Either way, I don't have much else to say right now. Pretty much got everything out of my brain for the day. This is gonna be a pretty long video, as I said. So if you made it all the way to the end, I really appreciate it, because all I've done is ramble for the last probably, like, I hope it's only like 20 minutes long. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you made it all the way to the end, remember, drop a like, and if you're new here, subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video.